So welcome to the Compassionate Capitalist podcast and video for those that are watching today on YouTube. One of the things that we do with this show, obviously folks that have listened before know what compassionate capitalism is all about. But a big piece of that and the piece of the puzzle is equipping entrepreneurs with the tools and the knowledge they need to be highly successful in the business that they are developing. And therefore, the investors gain greater confidence if they understand and know some of this information that we share on that company actually getting through to succeed. And my guest today is a really unique story that brought him to be such an expert in our main topic. We're going to talk about a few things, but it's really about this. The internet's not dead. Let me just kind of say it like that in a little bit of a thing, but it's really about, understanding the role that the internet and how people interact with the internet today play in your ability to connect with customers and convert that into sales. And there's a lot of, there's history, hotness, coldness, all kinds of stuff that we're going to get into today. But let me first start to introduce you to my guest. Scot Chrisman is, first of all, a former professional skier turned entrepreneur. Now, you don't hear that very often, right? And with a stop along the way with the #1 podcast on sports on iTunes. And now Scot is a digital marketing expert whose strategies have helped large corporations and small businesses alike impact more customers and increase their bottom line. He is a contributor at Entrepreneur and Forbes. And as you will learn today, this podcast loves to talk about shaping the internet to change the world. All right. So wave and say hi, and then I'm going to tell a little bit more about your background here, Scot. So
thank you so much for having me, Karen.
I'm excited because this is okay. So first, as a professional skier, that's a small community of people. Although it's not really unusual for 2-year-olds to start skiing when it's in ski country. And in fact, I have a little video of when I was 2 on little red skis, skiing with my dad in Tahoe. Now,
that's awesome.
Last time I skied was also in Tahoe when I took out my knee, and that was the last time I skied. So, and it was, I was trying to keep up with the boys, and I should not try to keep up with the boys. But you went on and started skiing competitively at the young age of 6, right?
Yep.
And just came short of participating in the U.S. Olympic team, right?
Yep.
So talk about your journey of your entree from that environment into entrepreneurialism, because I see a lot of similarities. First, focus, determination, conquering your fear of the unknown, hard work, preparation. So you had a lot of that as a professional athlete. How did you translate? How did you discover? How do you, say, oh, this is my path now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like you said, there's so many parallels between entrepreneurialism and athletics. And, one of the things that one of the other parallels you can draw is most likely in the market, you have competition. There are other people out there who are trying to get to the same end goal. And most of the time, the end goal in entrepreneurship is getting to the bulk of the market share, right? If you're Apple or whoever you are, you want to there's a race to the biggest market share and being the brand, the go-to brand in that market. And oftentimes in athletics, you have a goal of being '1, and you set a vision, and then you set out steps to make it there. And it's a combination of variables, just like an entrepreneurialism, or in creating a business, you have certain systems and processes, and you might have nutrition, working out, sleep, academics. You're going to have all these aspects of it. And the same thing is going to go with business. And then the other thing that I realized is I was in a relationship with businesses at a young age, being sponsored at the age of 12. And so I became a marketing asset. And so that's where the combination of the athleticism being so parallel to entrepreneurialism, and then realizing that at a young age, my responsibility was to be a forward-facing piece of the brand and to be a brand asset and to do things like create relationships with customers and start pointing them in the direction of just even looking at the product. And a lot of the times, I think you said like the internet is not dead. A lot of us might think the internet is dead because of used car salesman tactics or the flash in the pan, the infomercial, the thing that's trying to like, where like, okay, you're telling me it's $40, but you're giving it to me for free as long as you pay for shipping and handling. Like something here just doesn't add up. And so the mind kind of has logically been kind of strung along and tricked into being like, okay, well, part of the internet just isn't very safe. But no, I feel like, it's given me athletics, and being a forefront of the brand has given me a really, really unique perspective into what marketing really is and how to do it right. And then also how to do it right on the internet, because you add that medium of the internet and all of a sudden, like, face to face, it's a lot easier to create relationships. But the internet, kind of like you were talking about my website, you're like, I know him, but my website's currently down due to a quick little thing. And you're like, I know him, but should I trust him? I don't know. It's the internet. The internet
Right.
is the unknown factor. You trusted me, but the internet was the unknown factor. So
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. People have that all the time because of this, that, or the other that may happen. So it's good to have that other presence out there that we'll sort of dig into, because I'm a few years older than you, and back when I got started marketing my business, internet was all we had. We had you really try to master your SEO and what kind of content that the spiders are going to come through, and you had AdWords, and you had newsletters that you put out, or your articles, so you would get backlinks. And in fact, the whole reason why I started the Compassionate Capitalist podcast, formerly known as Spec Talk Radio, was for backlinks, right? Because that SEO is king. And so with 4 billion internet users, and it continues to grow, the challenge, I think, for a lot of people in everyday life is this opportunity of just so much noise and so much competition to get the attention. And how do you get this? And I think people almost kind of gave up. It got harder and harder to navigate the search engines to be found. And so internet became the used toy, so to speak, that, it's social media became the shiny new toy on Christmas morning for target placement of your message in front of, in theory, a target audience. And so, but it hasn't been the scratch and win magical solution for small businesses. I mean, I guess if you got, the businesses on Shopify or Etsy or eBay, and it's almost a point of sale, immediate conversion. But when it comes to establishing things for customers that might have a more complex sales cycle or message, it's not. And this thing about digital marketing it's a confusing term for small business owners and stuff like that, because it's like, well, what is that? Is that social media? Is that email? Is that internet? So, connect the dots for our listeners on why, because you came into the world, Instagram, right? That was one of your first things you did as an athlete, with, what did you say, 17,000 followers, like, something like that. So, so talk about how you came to rediscover the power of the internet, if you knew how to use it as a tool. And then where does it really fit in a digital media strategy? I mean, although that's probably two big topics, just to start with the first one.
Yeah, totally. No, I think, it's super important. We all know that the internet is where, you see everyone walking around and their phone is right in front of them, and like everyone's getting bad posture and everything because their phone is literally right in front of them the whole time. And so everyone's attention is on here. And one of the things that I think we have this perception of is like Google is one entity, Facebook is another entity. And like when you are asking the question, depending on whether you respect your privacy or not, you're either using Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever, like one of the search engines that maybe is more respectable to your privacy. But Facebook, if you want to go connect with friends, you're likely on Facebook or Instagram. They're all actually just operated off of the infrastructure of the internet, but each holds it's kind of like a different building. Like you walk into Instagram as a building, or you open Instagram for quick, instantaneous pictures from people that you know or don't. But it's not a long, you're not going there to learn about how to do SEO on the internet. You're going to do that on YouTube, or you're going to do that in a long form blog. And so the whole idea behind digital marketing is leveraging why people go to certain areas to capture their attention and then slightly divert them or slightly remind them about your product. Because one of the things that's happened as advertisers realized that if you spend money to put stuff in front of people's faces, that you'll make money, or that should be the logical train that you follow. We get bombarded by advertisements all the time. And so digital marketing is not a put $1 in here, get $1 out here, or get $2 out here anymore, in the same sense that it was maybe in 2015 when Facebook ads were just coming out. And everything goes in cycles. As the supply is there, the demand isn't. It's going to be cheap. You're going to get quick wins. As the demand increases and the supply goes down, it's common business principles, but must be applied to marketing. And so you have to understand where people go, for what reasons, and how to utilize them. So if someone comes to Instagram and your company can capture their attention and give them something free, and you can capture their email, then you can start to create a relationship. But that's one of the biggest things that a lot of small business owners don't necessarily make the connection of, is that this is about building relationships, and it's a long sales cycle, just like raising money is a long sales cycle. So you might capture their email, and a year later they might buy your product, but they've seen it how many times through your emails, and how many times through going to your website, and then you have a Facebook pixel on your website, and it retargets them with an ad on Instagram or Facebook, and they see it again. It's not quite the time to buy, but then they go along, and then they see your next email, and they get reminded, and eventually they buy. And so digital marketing oftentimes is about capturing a small piece of someone's attention and then reminding them why they wanted to keep that in their life in the first place. And it's not about driving the sale immediately. It's about creating a relationship and providing value. And that's why I say shaping the internet to change the world, because a lot of people they want to put a video out, they want it to go viral, they want to take a picture next to a jet and say, look at me, like I can teach you how to make millions of dollars, and sell people some program, and they want this passive income and everything there. But I think the whole click funnels, the whole you're one funnel away, is not a sustainable thing, because it's like building a bunch of TPs thinking that you're going to get a skyscraper out of it. And the TP, like the social media posts, can get plowed over by any piece of the internet because it has no stability. It has no foundation. A website with blogs and a place where you can actually start to build foundation in the internet is what every big company does. You look at Apple, you look at eBay. Like eBay is such a good resource for its clients and customers, because they have forums and blogs, and any sort of question you would ever want to find out about how to use eBay or what's on eBay is provided by eBay itself in forums and blogs. And that is one of the best ways that you can shape the internet to change the world, is owning your landscape of what you're talking about, and then providing tons of valuable information to the user or the reader. Because if someone in a software like eBay, there are all sorts of extraneous variables, information that people need to know to use the product. And eBay as a business makes money as sales are transacted on the back end. So it makes total sense as a business model to educate their users on everything it possibly might take to use the product in order to drive the sales on the back end. So this is going to be the same sort of thing that you're going to want to do with any other business, is capture people's attention and understand what problem you solve, and then just educate them on all the reasons why they might want to solve that problem. If your back is getting sore and your discs are disintegrating a little bit, and you want to get you need chiropractic care to help your discs and or you need stem cell treatment. You're going to want to educate them on all the risks, all the variables, every last little thing that's going to make their mind safe in order to make that decision. Because a lot of the times, because we have been scared by the internet, or because we have been burned by those flash in the pan kind of tactics, our mind is looking for all the reasons why we can't trust something. And so from a marketing aspect, our goal is to earn trust from everyone. And one of the ways that we earn trust is to give them little wins or little things that change their life along the way. So it could be a little tactic of like, when you wake up in the morning, stretch your hamstrings using these couple stretches and see what it does to your lower back. And that's not necessarily going to drive anyone into your practice as a chiropractor, but it is going to make them remember you when their back hurts. And so those are the types of ways that as you create relationships with the customer, you're able to capitalize on that relationship by just earning trust and being the go-to resource. So
yeah, that's absolutely. And it's a good time to tell folks to go and trust me, it is a good website. I mean, we may have, by the time this you're listening to this, watching this, I'm sure it's going to be perfect, but it's the Media House, TheMediaHouse.co. Okay, co, just like mine, KarenRands.co, not a com, .co. So the MediaHouse.co. So, and there on that site, when you first go there, you can get a free tool, 5 digital marketing tools guide on your website. So that's still available. You mentioned it earlier that, email is how you build a relationship. Now, and you can kind of do that a little bit because people might join your group on Facebook and you post stuff there and things like that and stuff like that versus just sending. But it's the relationship and email marketing, way back in the day when I was talking about where my first experience, the person that owns the list is the king, right? The list is the magic. It's the cha-ching because you convert them. And like you said, I mean, I had somebody could reach out to me. She'd been in my list. I've had people for years, like you say, years. And it's just drip, 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 right? So talk about, this idea because it is something that I know traditional businesses are really, they strive to be able to do that. And how does email marketing become the conversation that you can have? There's things with brand and all the other stuff within the social media, but it can be like the conversation as when somebody's walking into your store and you're having that conversation with them. Talk a little bit about how people can effectively use email marketing, that it's not just a push funnel where you're trying to get them to convert and buy this thing or do this thing, get that $100 thing for free and all that kind of stuff. Talk about relationship building using the email list.
Definitely. So number one, even just what you're doing right now is relationship building, right? Because people listen to your podcast and they hear your voice and they get to know who you are and they hear your inflections in your voice and they hear what makes you happy and what makes you curious. And those types of things allow us to relate in a way that is past even what email can do. But one of the best things that email does is oftentimes as business owners, and my age group is a little bit different, but people that I feel are like 35 and older are more apt to check their email multiple times a day, and their inbox is an important place. A lot of people like inbox zero, like they like to archive and do things. I am not that person.
I'm not that person either.
But it's a great place to be in someone's life. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is trying to just push them through the funnel. And so one of the best things that you can do, and this is awesome because it is recyclable once you get on a year-long cycle, and you might change things as the year, as years progress. But oftentimes most businesses have some sort of reflection or interaction with the season. So like if you're a roofing company, hail season in Colorado is in the middle of like spring and summer. And so one of the best things that you're going to want to do in early February is start talking about hail season coming and how you're going to want to get an inspection before hail season comes. So that way you can prove to your insurance which storm the hail comes from, because that can be a messy thing for a homeowner, is to, you know, have two hailstorms come through and then not know which hailstorm it was from and have the insurance try and blame it on a separate incident and not pay out fully, right? So one of the best ways that you can talk to your ideal customer and educate them on something that is real. You're not trying to create scarcity by saying, oh, there's only 5 left when you can print as many as you can or whatever.
Yeah.
You're literally saying like you have a limited amount of time until hail season hits. And one of the best ways to make sure, in case you get hailed on, is to have an inspection beforehand. So that way we know that the hail came from this season and not last season. So that way the insurance company doesn't try and push it off. So if you want a free inspection, have us come out today. If you get hailed on in the next 6 months, we'll come out and give you another free inspection and we'll help you process your insurance.
Oh,
so
yeah.
what you're doing there is you're planting a bunch of seeds. And the people that you come out and do the inspection for are going to be the people who call you when the hailstorm hits. So what you're planting seeds in fertile soil, and you're waiting until that sprout pops out to say, hey, I'm ready to be harvested, right?
Mhm.
And so having some sort of a year-long content plan and doing things like, even if you're a roofer towards the end and you're in Colorado, you guys might not have to do this kind of stuff, but in Colorado, you have to get your sprinklers blown out. You don't really have to, but people recommend you get your sprinklers blown out and stuff. As a roofer, just remind people, say, hey, I just wanted to remind you, like, things are getting cold. I know you might be busy. The pandemic has got people losing their minds. I've lost mine. So I just wanted to remind you that, like, in case you forgot, it's going to be 32 degrees next week. Maybe get your sprinklers blown out. And that's something it's outside of your scope of work, but it adds value to their life and makes them feel like you care about them. And like, that their home is valuable to them, which is part of what you're trying to protect. So there's a connection there, but you care, And so creating a content plan that's based on the year, and then you can recycle it because those yearly things are going to come through. And so you get, once you have that year established, then you can move through and you can have a folder, a Google Drive file that says, January emails, and you might change a little bit as you come through, but it's already created. And so like that first year might take some time to get off the ground, but you're creating relationships by being in their inbox and just adding value to their life. It's not about asking for the sale. The sale will come if you add enough value.
Yeah. And then you have, I'm going to do 2 confessions here. So like I subscribe to that theory of, and, I changed up, doing traditional newsletters to do little videos, because I figure that's the people got a time, they like watching videos. If they only got a couple of minutes, they'll do this, right? And so when I first built my funnel to do, and it really was sharing information about, what questions entrepreneurs ask, investors ask, best practices, things like that, right? And and so I was like, oh yeah, so I'll put 60 of these, and they're every 3 or 4 days. It's my compassionate capitalist coffee break thing, and I'm like, perfect, and then that gives me lots of time to go and I'll make some more. And then I got busy and I look like, oh my goodness, it's done. Now of course people opt in at different times like that, but then I had people like sitting there and they hadn't gotten an email from me for 2 months. I was like, oh, I can't believe it. Oh, so you have to go through this whole thing, and it's like, and then you look and you say, well, because people are busy, which one's got the most clicks on, right? So it's relevant. That's a good topic here. And which ones didn't. So maybe I can just repurpose that. and put a
Yeah.
different email header and subject line on it and reuse that same content because the content's still good. It's timeless and stuff like that. And I've been, I'm constantly going like, oh, wow, I really need to add more to this. And you don't think, that sometimes you get into internet marketing stuff and you think time stands still, but it doesn't. It continues to move on. And so, so thinking through that, anticipating, and of course, that's the kind of stuff that you help people do, is understanding that. And then do you manage that kind of stuff for people too, or you just are setting up the strategy?
Yeah, so I'll do either. I'll come in and consult, and a lot of people will be like, I need to be on Facebook, but they don't necessarily understand where their ideal customer is, or I need to be on Instagram. So one of the first things that we do is we just kind of do an audit. Where are you at? What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? How many leads are you getting a week? How many leads convert to customers? And we'll just kind of break down the math of what exactly is going on in your business. So we can look and say, okay, if we put X amount into marketing, this is about the expected return that we're going to get. And then we'll start to look at conversion rates. And conversion rates can be as simple as changing a headline. Like you said, you have a bad headline and you change it, if it's like, 5 ways for you to have a stronger roof or something. And like, people are like, well, whatever. And then like, if you're like, 5 ways your roof can add $100,000 of value to your house, that is a lot different, right? And so that probably is going to increase the amount of conversions that you get, which the click on the email is one conversion, right? And it's kind of that whole childhood game of like, can you get the water from here to the bucket here using all of these little pieces, to divert it, all these little slides. And that's kind of our goal, is to look at the efficiency of each of those systems and create an efficiency through capturing all the water as it goes. And sometimes you're going to have water drop. And that's like, if you have someone that doesn't click your first email, one of the things that we'll do is we'll send the second email with a different headline. It's the same body of the email, but we'll just send a second email with a different headline. And it's based on automation that says if they don't open, then we'll send them a second one. So we're trying to catch the water underneath as it's going the second time, and it's all based on automation on whether they opened it or not. And so a lot of times what we're doing is we'll look at those things. And if a corporation is large enough where they have an internal team, we'll just teach them a couple things. We'll teach them about headlines. We'll teach them about conversions. We'll teach them on ways to track key performance indicators. Or if they are maybe a little bit smaller and they have a budget and they want us to implement, we'll craft the emails, we'll do the copywriting, and we can do anything from Facebook ads, Instagram ads, video shoots, photo shoots, and it's all to come in and surround the business with what they need and not do anything extraneous, not waste any energy. I'm all about efficiency with movement. I don't want to, spend a bunch of energy to get no return. So sometimes we test and iterate, but we'll put enough energy to figure out whether it's right or wrong. And then we'll test and iterate and move in a different direction. But it's all about efficiency, teaching, and then implementation. But I also really want the business owner to at least conceptualize and understand enough to be a visionary as well. Because I think that's one of the biggest things that we get afraid with the internet is it's like, why I say shape the internet to change the world. If you Google permission-based pixeling, foolproof sales tactics, avoid burnout with a marketing plan, heart-centered LinkedIn marketing, all 4 of those like terms, I will show up as the #1 search term. And I've figured out how to do that. And so I say shape the internet to change the world, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that we all have the power to show up #1 on Google. And it's about doing it right, building a strong foundation and being able to actually shape the internet. And so a lot of people think that the internet is something that we don't have, that all the Google people have the ability to change and build.
Yeah.
But it's actually democratized, and everyone has that power. Just like you do, just like I do, just like you've experienced with SEO. And the rules change, but we still all have the ability to be there. And so one of my biggest things that I like to do is teach business owners, not just like, don't just put the power in my hands. Yes, we'll do that and we'll take care of it. But I'm also going to have you know and understand, because if you think I'm wielding, you know, an AK-47 and I'm really holding a pistol or something, like, you know, you got to understand exactly what's going on, what the weapon in my hand is, to actually fully utilize it. And as a business owner, you're a visionary. You're someone who has a direction. But if you think I have rocket fuel and I, you know, I have something different, we've got to be able, a lot of business owners have to understand exactly the tools that I'm playing with, to understand the leverage that I have, because it's not a magic bullet. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes we test and iterate and we fail, but the whole goal is long-term, figure out what works, repeat success, you know? And so it's about teaching business owners, not only about, you know, implementing and showing them how we do it, but it's also getting them to understand the tools that are at their fingertips, so that way they can really leverage it and move the direction that they want to go. You know, as to wrap it up, as an athlete, if I didn't know how to use the gym, if I had really poor body mechanics in the gym, I would never get to my end goal, because every rep would be working against me, not for me.
Yeah.
Same thing can go with social media. If you don't know how to put the reps in the gym, and if you don't have a personal trainer or someone there to help you, then you're not going to get where you need to go. So that's kind of the place that I serve.
Well, yeah, because there's so much and potential. And, you know, if you get a buzzword like with Instagram, and you're like, oh, so then you go out and you search and you go, well, how do I use Instagram for my business? And of course, then you get all the ones that are the click funnels that say, you know, get this for free and we'll teach you and all this stuff.
30 days to 10,000 followers or whatever.
Yeah, it's so funny how I even fall for that stuff all the time. But, you know, I go, and someday I'll go read it anyway. So
and now you're on their email list, and
yeah,
you might buy a product.
Nice thing that Google it out says, well, you haven't opened this person's email in a while. Do you want to opt out? And I'll be like, yeah, who is that person? Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead, opt me out. So one of the things that I do think about that I want to help people to understand, because I know I struggled with this for a long time, because I think mentally, intrinsically, we're like, well, I just want to be, particularly once you understand the power of an email list, you're like, I just want to get them into my email list. And so it's like, well, oh man, I got this huge following on Twitter, and I got this other giant network on LinkedIn, and I got this other group on Instagram. Come on, guys, just all kind of come together and just go into one place, so I don't have to do all this other stuff. And it's the message I put on this one, because the audience is different from this one. And it's like, so explain a little bit about how it's okay to have lots of different people in different areas, and the ones that you resonate because you do these things will become when they come into, this is what I finally had to accept. So when they finally do, they may click on something and go buy something, but they're really never on my stuff and services. I'm not going to buy something off of a tweet on Twitter, but I might get one step closer to getting them into my email world, where I can develop the relationship. I mean, sometimes they come directly to me and opt in to get an appointment and that kind of stuff, but a lot of times it is through that process. So explain to people about how they in a brief way, because not everything's for everybody, but how they can use some of these tools to slice a different message because of the delivery mechanism or the type of audience that's using it, whether it's visual or content or something that they're all just doorways into your world of creating a trusted relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, in that whole internet salesy, like salesman marketing, a lot of people have converted quickly. And so they're like you, where they're like, they see that 10,000, you know, 30 days to 10,000 followers, and they click on it because it sounds really awesome, you know, but at the end of the day, it's like, you get converted really quickly, and then there's kind of like this lackluster, underwhelming delivery on things, or that's kind of the famous online marketing emotional trajectory, is like high hopes to underwhelming results. And so a lot of the times, you might have the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of those things. And a lot of the times it just comes down to, I always like metaphors and parables. And so I look at it like, when you're making butter, or like when you're trying to get cream off the top of milk, you're continually mixing it, and the cream is kind of rising to the top, and you're going to have a little bit of cream at the top. Like if you just let milk sit, a little bit of cream will rise to the top. But for the most part, you're not going to have much separation, but it's the continual kind of whipping that makes the cream come to the top. And this is similar to what happens with social media, is the social media is kind of the big vat of milk, and you're continually mixing it, and you're continually jostling it, and eventually some cream is kind of rising to the top, and that cream is that email list. Some people are opting into the email list because they see the value, because they hear you talking about 5 ways that you can get in touch with investors, or here's a really great podcast that I listened to about how a software company got funding in the shortest amount of time possible, or whatever it is. Like as long as you're continuing to add value, and the software company, you might have a certain section of people who are with that are software companies looking for funding, so that might cause that cream to rise to the top. And then you might have something in the service industry where you add value, and that might cause that cream to rise to the top. But you're constantly adding value and just churning it, and eventually that cream kind of comes to the top. But it's never a fast overnight thing that just causes these conversions. And it's all, again, about putting value out there. And then the last thing that I would say is, because you have the cream of the crop in your email list, all of your emails then become the cream of the crop. This is your best, the best value. So then you might have the what and why on your social media posts, but then in your email, you're also going to have the how. So the email is really going to actually drive the change forward. And then once people opt into your email list and they see your social media posts, and they see that it has the what and the why, but the email only has the how, then they're going to be addicted to opening the emails, because that is actually causing the change, driving the change, and they know that is the cream of the crop. So oftentimes, and you can tell people that your email list has the how in those social media posts as well. So you're educating people about why they should be doing it, but you're telling them they have to opt in to get how.
Yeah. Okay. So this is one of the things I do. It's like, I always like to remind myself, there's gold in them there hills. See, this is gold chunks from someplace in California. Anyway, I doesn't have it on here. It's the they didn't do a very good job on their ad stuff. Anyway, but it's like I'm like, okay, that's good. That right there was a golden nugget. That was a good golden nugget. I write that down. What and why in your social media, and the how in your email. That's actually really brilliant, Scott. Thank you so much for that. That's I like that. So okay. I want to start to wrap up here and talk about this thing that you had, and it might be even tied into this set, but when we had spoke before, you said people go to Google to get their answers, and what you want to do is have them find your business as that solution to the question that they have. And I think that's really, really important, because the examples that you gave with the roofing thing and the chiropractor thing, these are they're trying to get, hey, Google, right? Or on your phone, or, whether you're speaking to a box in your house or on your phone or typing it in, and we always joke when we say, like, we're like sitting around shooting the bull, and we like, oh, somebody something like that. Well, I go, well, I know where I can find the answer to that, right? And
Yep.
so, right, go ask Google, go ask Siri. So talk about how businesses need to reflect differently than just what they sell or what they offer as a service, but translating that into a marketing message on the problem that they're solving, so that they can start doing the what and the why, and then get them into the how. And and we'll use that as part of our wrap up.
Totally. No, this is perfect. It's all about messaging. And one of the things that I was going to say earlier and I didn't, it's perfect, is that cream can rise to the top quicker depending on the tools that you're using. If you're hand whipping it, like it's going to take a long time, versus if you have a machine doing it, it's going to be a lot, it's going to take less effort. And, one of the things that happens in messaging is the person who articulates the problem the best is assumed to have the best solution. So if you can speak to a customer as if you have read pages out of their diary, if anyone is still writing diaries or journals, but I journal sometimes, but if you could pretend that you are ripping a page out of their diary or journal, and you say, like, for a chiropractic, like, you're stressed, you're a single mother, you're 45 years old, you're overwhelmed, you spend all of your time running around taking care of your kids and taking care of family, holding the entire world together, and you just need someone to hold you and to lift you up and to make sure that your cracks are filled, because you spend the entirety of your time filling the cracks of the world, and someone needs to fill your cracks. We're here to help you with holding yourself together, and we would like to invite you in for a $15 adjustment, and see if we can help you manage and mitigate stress, whatever it is. That is like going to speak to someone who's experiencing that in a way where they're like, oh, really? Like, they know me so well. Like, I just need to come in there. Or, I'm 55 years old. I used to play football. I have worked a corporate job for the last 25 years of my life, and my back and my posture is all out of whack. When I get up in the morning, my lower back is killing me, and my sex drive is low, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just I've spent the last 25 years of my life working my butt off, and now I have money, and now I just want to enjoy it, but I don't have the tools or resources to know how to do it. Like, chiropractor, can you help me? If you can use that type of, or nutritionist or doctor, whoever, if you can use those types of stories, and that would be how I would relate to people, is use stories. Storytelling is the number one way to relate to people, because we are conscious beings, and we have the ability to project consciousness into other things. That's one of the most amazing empathetic uses of human consciousness. And so when someone speaks to us and we can project our consciousness into that and say, holy crap, that feels like me, you're speaking to aspects of my consciousness, then all of a sudden they realize, like, oh, that story, that is me, that story is me. And they associate with it in a way where all of a sudden they know you, they like you, and they trust you immediately. And so figuring out your messaging and figuring out the ways, and this is why a lot of brands will ask for feedback, and they'll ask for reasons why, or like why people bought, or like what drove you to the sale, where did you come from, what drove you to this, because they're trying to capture that information. But also those pain points, it's not necessarily about from a chiropractor standpoint, like spine health, right? Like, spine health impacts the nervous system and impacts total health and all of that. But it's more like, do you want to feel healthy, happy, full of energy, and have passion for life again? right? Not do
Oh,
you want to have a
yes.
healthy combined.
Where's that?
Yeah.
Where's the pill for that?
Exactly. Totally. And so it's all about, the messaging is all about addressing the pain point that they might have, providing a solution, and then educating them along the way, because they might hear that they have a pain point. They might hear that you have the solution, but emotionally they may not be convinced to buy until they read several emails on your email list,
Right.
educating them about the health, anything, any sort of objections their mind might have. So the messaging is all about pain, solution, addressing objections, and then creating a value offer that's irresistible.
There you go. All right. Well, everybody, Scot Chrisman in the mediahouse.co. Go get the five what's the
Digital
5
marketing
digital marketing
tools.
tools guide. Yes. And any last comment you'd like to make for folks? Or you
Just thank you so much, and appreciate having me on here. I'm excited to talk. We didn't even talk about the writing thing, so I'm excited to talk to you just about writing, and hopefully get your voice out there more and help you build more relationships with more people. And yeah, thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions or wants a free audit of what they're doing, if you opt into my email, you can reply to that. I'll reply back, or you can just send me a message, Scott with 1T at themediahouse.co. And yeah, I'll hop in and look at what you're doing. And if there's any way to help, I would love to help. So.
Yes, Scott, you do. That's we've had a great conversation before, and I'm looking forward to getting some of your insights and expertise on all of my stuff, because I really want to get this message of compassionate capitalism out there to change the world. Use the internet to change the world. That's it. So
Yes, ma'am.
and everybody, please go to KieranRands.co. You can learn more about what I offer to folks. You can opt into my email list, and you can learn about the book, Inside Secrets to Angel Investing. All my social media is there. And with that, I would say onwards and upwards. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you.